Hello, friends. Today is a continuation of my last video about the Bro Code and how the Bro Code perpetuates violence against women. So, if you haven't seen that video, you can go look for it and watch it. It's not a very long video, and it just gives you a premise, like an introduction to how violence against women, one of the ways in which it gets started. So, violence against women is any act of gender based violence that ends up in physical abuse, sexual abuse, psychological harm to women, including threats and coercion. A lot of people don't think that threats, intimidation, being yelled at, being cursed at, being called names is a form of violence or domestic violence, but it really is. And I learned years ago when I was going through my um, domestic violence issues that even if there's no physical acts of abuse, but the mental, the emotional, financial, um, being continuously demeaned, being called names, being insulted, all those can have psychological effects on a woman. So, violence against women or domestic violence is not always just hitting. Being threatened, threatened, being threatened constantly or receiving threats against your safety or against your children, threats such as if you leave me, I will, hurt you or the kids or will take the kids and things like that are also designed to make a woman stay or behave and things like that. So one of the things that I noticed when I was going through that was a lot of the psychological manipulation that I experienced. Um, I guess a lot of men know, or their husband knows, that the woman is compassionate and caring, and they kind of know the type of things that are mostly important to you, so they play on those emotions. If you're a religious person or someone who goes to church, they'll play on Bible scriptures like, the Bible says you have to forgive, or marriage is sacred, that you're not supposed to leave your husband, or things like that that will make you say, oh, yeah, I have to behave or I have to stay. Just psychological manipulation to make you stay in an abusive relationship, or things such as, if you leave, who's gonna want you, or you have kids, you're just anything to make you feel demoralized as a woman. But over the last couple of years, over the last 3 or so years, violence against women has increased a lot. Like, there's just so many instances of news reportings talking about, the amount of violent acts that are being taken against women and their children. Even just over the last couple of years, just there has been an increase, a significant increase in, femicide, or the the killing and murdering of women, mainly by their partners, their male partners, and in some other cases, not always, but in most cases, the male partners. Um, but it is an increasing problem. Um, and the last video that I did talking about the bro code and how men keep silent about violence against women unless it's their daughter, unless it's his wife um, being abused or verbally abused or mistreated at work by some guy, unless it's his daughter at school or college that's being abused by a boyfriend or something like that. But for the most part, men may see a woman or a neighbor abusing his wife, and he'll keep quiet, and won't say anything about it because the bro code mandates that type of behavior, and they may not be aware that they are just allowing a woman or cousin or sister and able to continue to undergo a lot of abuse. And let's talk a little bit about the sexual violence against women and girls. It is a global problem in which a lot of women, a good percentage of women and girls, are subjected to sexual violence from someone other than their husband, for the married woman or a partner. Um, the prevalence of sexual abuse is likely even much higher than we know, because there's a stigma of silence. There's a stigma of keeping quiet, of keeping secrets, that causes a woman not to speak about it, that causes a girl not to speak about it. And, that takes us into human trafficking. I mean, the UNWomen.org website says that 15 million teenage girls between the ages of 15 and 19 have experienced forced sex. And that's in majority of the countries. Teenage girls are more likely to be at high risk of being forced into sexual acts by a friend, by an older male, by a boyfriend, and that's based on 30 countries. But I'm pretty sure it's a wider problem than what it's being reported. And let's talk about a little bit about human trafficking, because it is darker and more insidious than most of us know. It's like a network of people that work together in all walks of life to steal these children, these girls and boys too, to subject them to sexual slavery and trafficking. And this has become a global problem to the point where they even made a movie about it. Taken was one of the movies as well, but the most recent one was the one Sound of Freedom. Sound of Freedom. But all that just goes to highlight the increase of the violence against women and girls, the sexual violence, domestic violence. But just a little bit, about my experience with it. It all started with psychological abuse, and mental abuse, and then it went from that to financial abuse, withholding, or wanting to control the finances in the home. And if you protest, like if I protested and said, no, this is not fair, or, I'm not going to stand for that, then the violence will continue, as if to say, I have the power, I'm in control, and you need to deal with it. And then I went from that to using the Bible or using religion to quote, needing to forgive, needing to be a submissive wife, just all kind of manipulation. And I'll give you a little bit more details about that. This is going to be a series of videos highlighting the increase of violence against women and girls. We may even talk a little bit about human trafficking and just bringing awareness to the deep psychological effect of what domestic violence is doing to women, to the point where it drives them to suicide, it drives them to drug and alcohol abuse, it drives them to do so many awful things to themselves. Long life damage that if it does not receive proper intervention, could render a woman just completely broken without proper therapy, self-healing, and things like that. So I'm going to end the video here, and I'm going to go ahead and make another video to continue this discussion, okay? Thanks for listening.
Now, these tragedies each touched on a wide array of big issues, from police violence to racially motivated hate crimes. But for many women, they're only the most extreme manifestation of a problem that they have to deal with every single day.
The top story at this hour, the violence against women and the conversation that it has sparked among women around the world. For many, it can feel like the only way to guarantee your personal safety is to stay at home, lock your doors, and never leave.
The World Health Organization says 1 in 3 women worldwide have been subjected to physical or sexual violence. And data shows the violence starts alarmingly young.
Around the world, 6 women are killed every hour by men. And for women of color, their cases rarely in the headlines.
Threats from men.
People don't just wake up one day and murder somebody. They are taught from an early age that there is a power difference between men and women, and that it is okay to use certain language, certain behaviour, and they progress from catcalling and groping